We're back.
Hi, everybody.
It's been a while. This is Jenny. I'm here with Rissa.
Hi, I'm Rissa.
And we did a review for season 2 of Mob in 2019. It was so long ago.
And season 1 in 2016. Just kidding.
We didn't review season 1.
So don't look for it.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
But we're back for season 3,
Ooh.
and we're a little late to start here, but we're going to just cover the episodes that are already out and kind of do more chunks rather than doing like a weekly review.
Yeah.
Worked a little better for us, but yeah, I'm excited to be back. I had to kind of wait until like the mob madness hit me. When the first episode came out, I hadn't rewatched the first 2 seasons yet or reread like any of the manga yet, so I had to kind of get back up to speed, and now I'm firing on all cylinders.
I haven't reread the manga yet. I probably will before the season ends.
Yeah.
I have you as my fact checker.
Yeah, I reread the part that season 3 will be adapting, so the last like 10 or so chapters. And on that note, we will have a lot of manga spoilers in these videos because we've read it and we like to talk about it. So if you don't know what happens in the manga and you don't want to know, don't listen to this.
We'll go read the manga.
Yeah, go read the manga, honestly. I think it's worth reading, especially at the end.
I don't know how many people only buy volumes now, like physical volumes. But...
Yeah, because the English, the official release English volumes are only up through 9 out of 16, so it's only through like halfway through what is season 2. So they got a ways to go on those, but
you can find the cancellations online. You all know what to do.
You guys know what to do. Okay.
Do legal things. Okay.
And before we get into the first episode, let's talk about the new opening and ending for this season.
Yeah.
I like the OP, which sounds like I'm hedging because I'm also going to say it's not my favorite.
Right.
Of the 3.
I do like it, but I think we kind of built ourselves into a corner with it anyway because the first 2 OPs are so good.
They're so good.
They're like, because the first OP we're like, oh yeah, this is great. This is peak. It's all downhill from here. And then the second OP came out and we were like, oh my god, what the fuck? How did they do it again?
I think the second one might be my favorite. It's hard to choose between the first 2 for me though.
Yeah, I think the second one, I don't know. I like the second one a lot just because of all the animation, references
the visuals
it does, the visuals and stuff. But I like the first one a lot too. But yeah, this is definitely like my least favorite. I think because out of all of them, this one, there's a lot of reusage of clips from the show, which is fine.
Yeah, I would say the visuals are the weakest part for me on this one.
Yeah, I agree, and it's like that's fine, and I think they use it in a way that's like super cool, like all the remixes with the hands like towards the end is really cool, but
because the song is a bop.
Yeah,
I really like the song.
Oh, really?
I do. I think that like at that one point when it really hits,
I'm like, yeah, that's
trance.
True.
Stance. I'm like, hell yeah! Every single time I start rocking out.
Let's fucking go when the mobs are psycho.
When the mobs go psycho. Yeah, I like the song, and I even think like before the beat drop, this sort of like moodier tone like works well for the season.
Oh, really?
Because like the season 2 OP is so upbeat in a way that sometimes didn't mesh with what was going on. You know what I mean? Like it's like, get ready, and Mom's like being tortured psychologically.
I'd argue against that because I mean I get what you're saying, but I've always seen it as more like kind of like a fight anthem, and the second season is so action oriented. I feel like. Yeah, but
that makes sense.
But I get like the moody sense of it too, especially it fits with like the slower pace of the season starting out.
Yeah.
But fuck everything because of the one and only one part.
Yeah, exactly. So like everything we just said, actually this is the best one because of the single shot of Mom growing up.
Literally just that.
Did he grow up before our very eyes?
Hey Tom, did he grow up before our very eyes?
Yes.
And like literally Reagan standing up with him to meet him on eye level. Fuck me up. Yeah.
To like address him as an equal, literally on equal footing with Mom.
It's
so that part, I'm suing for emotional damages, join my class action suit. So I love that. I feel like it's the best single like moment in any of the OPs, so it kind of evens out because of that.
To me, it kind of almost top levels it or something, because then I'm like, oh, but the rest of the OPs. So I honestly, I never skip the mob OPs, but this one I am just kind of like, okay, let's go. And then it gets to that part, and I'm like, ah! And then I'm fine again. And you
shriek, and then you're like, I'm good.
I do like, the other part of this OP I really, really like is when it does the logo, and it's in the old OPs when it's all the manga scanned, and now it's all anime. I think that's great.
That was cool. That was a cool change.
That was really, I really like that. I like that kind of growth.
I also like Reagan's like fruity little stance at one point.
Oh yeah, also that alone is great too.
That's a great moment.
I also do really like and this is what I wish this opening had more of, is like the rougher like squiggly line like at the distortion part with Mob, and then it goes to Reagan, and I like that part's really cool, and I don't know. So it's like there's parts of this opening I really, really like, and then there's parts where I'm like, whatever.
Well, I will say, like, looking at the sort of thematic, like, message of each of the OPs. So season 1 is if everyone is not special, you can be who you want to be. That's sort of like the motto of season 1. Season 2 is your life is your own.
Yeah.
Season 3 is one and only one, which feels a little less coherent to me.
To me, it kind of comes off as like, no one can replicate you.
Okay.
You are the only one of yourself, which kind of goes into like triple question mark, and like only you can do the things you do. Yeah. Kind of thing. But I definitely see what you mean.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I like that explanation. I was just like, I'm not quite sure how, like, what it's not as clear as the other two as far as like
agree.
What is it telling me?
It is not as like in your face, like
this
here's
is
the theme, you fucking idiot.
I'm like, don't make me think.
And I think it could also be implied as like you only have one and only one life, maybe. I think you could also look at it as that, going back to like your life is your own.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of thing.
That
if you want to look at it that way.
I can get down with that.
Yeah.
All right, should we talk about the ending?
Yeah, sure. Let's hit up the ending.
Hit up the ending. So the ED, and they didn't show this in the first episode, so it wasn't until the second one. And I think we both had the same reaction, because we actually watched, like, I had already seen the second ending, but then I watched it with you for the first time you had seen it, and I was really excited to see your reaction to it, and you didn't disappoint. You were like, ah!
I think I was like, fuck you, it's like Reagan or something.
And I was like, I know. So yeah, another like paint on glass ending, but this time it's Mob waking up in the morning and going on his little run.
I love this ending. I think just the contrast with Reagan's, both with like the coloring. Reagan's in season 1 is mostly beige and like very melancholy and very almost boring, almost like, not that it's the coloring is boring, and then when he meets up with Mob, the color comes in. Again, he's watching Bob grow up before his eyes, and so then I was kind of interested. I was like, oh, is this going to end with like the same thing? Mob color comes into Mob's world when he sees Reagan. But it doesn't.
Which wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah, I like that.
So I like
that.
Works.
I like that because it kind of shows like his growth of being independent and like being able to get up himself and like finding meaning in his own life using
for sure.
Reagan's teachings and words, and also just like the blue of it is like less melancholy and just more like waking up on a cold early morning day. It's less lonely.
Right. And I don't think it's supposed to read as like lonely. It's just like it's dark, it's early morning. He woke up, but it has a really nice kind of warm even like feeling to it throughout.
Which is funny because then it's like when you compare like the time of day, it's a lot darker in the sense like it's still early morning compared to Reagan when it's still like the sun's already getting up there and it's still like it's early morning.
It's like 10 a.m.
It's like 10 a.m.
He's like hungover as shit.
Or using his same water glass to water his plants.
Smoking his hangover cigarette on the porch.
He sees Bob, he's like, Mom. Morty, Mom, we gotta go do this. Oh, geez, I don't know about all that.
I was like, are we gonna be crazy again this season? Yes, we are.
Where's the correlation of Bob Psycho and Rick and Morty fans?
Yeah,
it's like
there gotta be.
It's like three people.
There's a few people.
It's me.
It's you and some other people.
And they're like, I see the mentor and mentee.
Yeah. But it's like a little bit twisted. Love it.
Yeah, love it. Let's go, bitch. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the ending, but if we covered it, then I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I really like the ending.
It's good.
I think it's good.
Can move on to episode 1.
All right.
Okay, episode 1
Are we
called
recording? Oh, no.
we are live. We're live. Episode
We're not
1.
live.
We're not live. Future career paths. So there were a few fairly significant changes from the manga to kind of make this a stronger season opener.
Yeah.
And overall, like, from this first episode, you could tell that the pace of this season is a lot slower than I initially expected.
Yeah.
Don't go back and listen to anything I said about how I thought this season was going to be paced, because I was so wrong.
I'm pulling up all your texts.
The receipts are embarrassing. I was like, oh, there's no way it'll be more than, like, 10 episodes. Wrong. So, yeah, I mean, like, they could have combined this with the yokai if they had to, but
I thought that's what they were going to.
Yeah,
definitely.
But breaking it out, I mean, it worked. I liked this episode a lot.
I think it gives a lot of, not only is it really good breathing room, but it kind of, season 2 is so action packed, and the pacing of season 2 is so like, okay, now we're doing this, okay, let's go. And I mean, that's how the manga's laid out too, but I think this pacing really sets up like the fact that this is like a slice of life story that also has supernatural drama in it, and that sometimes just gets out of hand, and I think that's great, you know? So I it's just like the first few episodes have such a slice of life like kind of feel to them. Like, I could watch just like 11-minute episodes of Reagan, Serizawa, and Mob just doing bullshit in the office, honestly.
I would love that.
Like, I would totally be fine with that.
Yeah, and like this season as a whole, like there are some very dramatic arcs, obviously, but they're a lot more kind of introspective or like relationship based.
Yeah. They're very
like Divine Trees, like all about Dimple and Mob's relationship. Obviously, the final arc all about Mob's relationship with himself.
it's like these grounded stories that also just have psychic powers in the mix, and I think that's what's good about it. It's like it makes it human, and it's like makes it relatable.
And that's why the PV like fucks so hard for this season, because it's like the first half of the trailer is like the little slice of life, little song,
that's
your
so
crush is moving away,
true.
and then it like boom, Mob gets hit by a car.
Okay, they didn't fucking have to do that to me. They straight up
so
was
crazy.
like that, and I was like, what the fuck?
The trailer is so fucking good.
Screamed. There's something else in the trailer that like just like made me like break out in goosebumps. Oh, I'm pretty sure it was like
Reagan shouting like, "Mob, I need to talk to you."
Maybe.
'Cause for me that
there was something. It might have been triple question mark or something. And I was just like, and I grabbed my hair and I was like,
it's so crazy.
Yeah.
What is in the manga as like Serizawa's first day at Spirits and such is kind of worked in here, even though it's not like actually his first day, because they used some of that at the end of season 2 with him getting his little haircut makeover.
Yeah.
But the case where there's like the haunted like antique doll thing is in like this episode, which was fun to see because Reagan was totally like gaslight gatekeep girl boss with his new employee. Which I just want to say, was that phrase like in the vernacular in 2019? I feel like it wasn't.
Can you repeat that sentence? You said
was the phrase gaslight gatekeep girl boss in the cultural vernacular in 2019?
Cultural vernacular?
The cultural vernacular. Were
Damn,
people saying
your
it?
vocab's so thick.
Were people saying that in 2019? I don't think they
2019?
were. Because if they were, we would have been saying that about Reagan constantly.
No, I think it started in 2019.
Yeah, it must have been post, at least when we did our pod, because...
Post-pod, pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, because, like, that's Reagan's motto.
Yeah. Well, so, I was when I was rewatching this scene earlier, I was thinking about how, like, I love Reagan and his manipulation, because it's always, like, This is for the benefit of other people. He's like, wow, Serizawa, this was a test. You should have corrected me. And he's like giving Serizawa that like opportunity and that confidence to be like, you can talk back to me. You can point out when I make a mistake, unlike Tochiro. Like, I need you to point out when I'm doing wrong, but I can't say like, hey, I need you to point out the mistakes or point out evil spirits because I can't see them. He has to phrase it in a certain way. And it works. And I don't know. I think it's like, it's manipulation in the sense of, like, character growth for the other person, you know? Building up...
Yeah, Reagan will manipulate you into growing as a person.
He's just like a therapist or
That's so true, because obviously, like, the joke on the surface is that he doesn't know what's going on, so he's like, oh, I was just testing you.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right. It does help Serizawa to see that he's, like, able to challenge his boss.
Exactly, and I think that's something that was touched on a little bit in the OVA, too, and it's just, like, Reagan knows that, like, Serizawa is going from a very different work environment, from like Tochiro to Reagan, where it's like he couldn't say anything, but like he's like telling Serizawa he needs him as input and he needs him to like, you know, say these things. It's the same in the sense with Mob, where like Mob's never been like had an issue with standing up and saying like, okay, well, this isn't an evil spirit or anything, but Reagan, I feel like throughout the season has gotten better with just like being like, okay, Mob says it's a spirit, let's change course kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like actually listening to him.
Yeah, exactly. And not, like, immediately trying to cover his own tracks.
Right, and been like, oh, yeah, of course I knew that.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, now, in this one, Mom's just like, hey, you should put that down, because that thing about to blow up.
That thing's gonna kill you. And he's like, all right. You're right.
He's
totally.
Like, he's like, now, Serizawa, why didn't you say
that?
Do you want me dead?
Do you want your boss to die?
You want me dead, is that it?
Oh, I see that was your note that you added. This is one of Reagan's special moves, gaslighting Serizawa, but in order to build his own confidence. So true, so true.
Thank you.
Yeah, so they added the rice grain move where he like sticks the arm back on as one of his special moves, which wasn't in the manga, like that it was one of his special moves. It just wasn't treated that way. But it's cute to see that here, since it's kind of like a fun like meme thing to do right away in the season. And also I was thinking, are there any other Reagan special moves in the entire season? They kind of fall away from that after a while.
They kind of do, don't I was trying to think as soon as you said that if they had that a lot in season 2, and well, wait, they did when he punched
Shimazaki. Yes. Like, infamously, when he punched Shimazaki.
Never mind. How could I forget?
But there aren't really any other moments like that in this season. This is one of Reagan's special moves, crashing a car full of middle schoolers.
This is one of Reagan's special moves, accidentally making the manga panel of draw your OTP meme.
Honestly, I'm so excited to see that.
It's a side note, it's so funny when people make fan art for that with Serizawa and Reagan, and I'm
like to explain what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the panel where they're driving and like in Mob says, oh, be careful, and then Reagan says, how about we stop talking for a little while? But somebody made a meme where Mob was saying like, why does Serizawa call you baby girl? And he said, why don't we stop talking for a little while? And that meme has just taken off in like every fandom.
Every fandom. And
I'm
like,
always
like, that's Mob, yeah. That's Mob. But yeah, and I love seeing it redrawn with Seri Ray, and I'm like, do they know? Do they know this was the OG?
Yeah, exactly.
Do they know?
They probably don't even know it like originated, or maybe they do. I don't know.
Like that meme of the guy standing in the corner at the party. They don't even know this is the Mob Psycho.
They don't even know it's a Mob Psycho panel. Yeah.
Anyway, so Reagan fixes the thingy majiggy.
It's a cute thing for Reagan to be able to fix it, because he was the only one that realized that it's like pretty worthless. It's only worth like 500 yen, and everyone else is treating it like it's a priceless antique. So because Reagan is the only one who has basic observational skills, that he was able to notice that, like he's not like freaking out that it's broken. So it's like a good thing to show that like he's still like the glue that's holding spirits and such like together, even though he has these two psychics. Like he's the common sense that's like, guys, calm down. They can
see stuff that no one else can see, but he also is noticing stuff they can't see.
Yeah, like he's like noticing things that should be obvious, but people don't really look for those as much.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, you were right where that works well with each other. I know, he's so talented.
So it's really cute just how Mob takes his like future prospects assignment so seriously.
Oh, I know.
And is like, I need to decide my life right now.
I really love this, and I really love this part of the manga, and I think the whole manga kind of talks about this, how it's like finding like where you're going to go next in life is really hard and stressful, especially when you're a fucking middle school and they're like, this is it, you have to choose now, and they have a gun to your head and you're like 12.
Yeah. You don't have to choose right now.
Right, exactly. And I think that's a big part of it, is like you can like change your road in life whatever you want. Reagan does it, Serizawa does it, literally all of the characters do it. And it's like a lot of them are like, it's too late for me, I can't do anything else, like,
and then Reagan slaps him and says, no, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Grow up, bitch.
One of my favorite just comedy moments is when Ritsu seriously suggests that Mob should become a magician as his career, and his parents are like, why is our son so stupid?
He is so smart, but goddamn is he so stupid.
Our idiot son.
Our fucking idiot children.
I love Ritsu so much.
Yeah, Ritsu's a good kid.
And then another thing that they added to this episode was Mob asked Dimple what he wants to do in the future.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked back at the manga just to check, and it's not in there. So, like, I liked this both because it's, like, it was really funny when Dimple's like, that's pretty cruel to ask like, a literally dead person what they want to do in the future. But also, it, like, sparks Dimple's, like, ambitions to start the cult again.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool, like, plot thing there.
It's also a nice like reminder to the audience, like, hey, remember what Dimple was originally doing?
Yes, exactly.
In the third episode of the series, and you're like, oh yeah, that is what he was doing, wasn't it?
It worked really well to like bridge that. I just have a note in here for like no reason, but like I love the ongoing thread where like Musashi will expose Onigawara's like secrets in front of the rest of the body improvement club. So in this one, when he says that he wants to be a manga artist, and Onigawara's like, hey, that was private.
Aww, they're boyfriends.
They're boyfriends. I think they're boyfriends.
Onigawara is like, this is a normal thing to share, right? And
yeah.
He's like, he's
like, I told you that in confidence.
I told you that in confidence.
Then there's that little scene where Misato is like speculating about what she thought may have happened with the explosion and the creation of the broccoli. And there's this art like behind her, and the first one shows Mob like super buff. And that part was in the manga, but the anime added this frame of, like, Mob carrying dead Reagan, like, bridal style in his arms. And it's so crazy. Like, why is that in there?
So I've heard both sides people say that's Reagan. I've heard other people say that's Ritsu.
Oh.
I thought it was Reagan.
I definitely read it as being Reagan.
It looks like he's wearing business shoes. I'd have to look at it again.
Yeah.
It seems like Reagan to me, but I've seen people say that too.
Interesting. I like the idea of it being Reagan because it's funnier.
It is funnier. Just like, how much taller is Reagan compared to Mom? And he's like holding a bridal style.
It's so funny.
It'd be like that. I really like this conversation actually with Misato and Mob, just because like Misato's like, this is like the biggest thing that will happen to me, and Mob's like, well, you know, you still have a whole life ahead of you. I'm sure it won't be. And he's like, when you look at it, it's just a broccoli. And I think that's so how we like make things bigger in our heads, and then when we take a step back and you're like, it's just a broccoli.
Right. Yeah, and it does like relate to the way that Mob feels too, where he's like, this is like a very important decision I have to make right now, where it's like you kind of blow those things out of proportion when it's your own life, but other people can kind of see more clearly like, nah, you'll have other stuff going on in your life. Exactly. You're only 14. This is the end of the road for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really, I think that's really sweet. And Misato's like, okay, but I mean, it is a giant ass broccoli in the middle of the city.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah. Misato mentioning like world domination arc like took place like a week ago, and I was like, oh god, shit, what? It was?
Yeah, the timeline is so tight. It's really funny.
I was like, god, when did fucking season 2 come out? Was it 2019?
It was winter 2019, so it's been almost 4 years.
It feels, oh my fuck.
Yeah.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, well, it's been more than 3, yeah.
Holy shit.
Like, I think, did it come out in January or February? I think it was February is when it started airing.
Oh my.
So yeah, it's been almost...
Oh my god.
Very close to 4 years since it started.
Oh my god.
Yeah, are you good?
No, I'm not.
It's been a while.
We've gone through so much as a...
So much has happened.
As a world?
As a world? Yeah, an entire pandemic.
My life is flashing before my fucking eyes.
Yep. It'll do that. Mob will do that to you.
This is the biggest thing that'll ever happen to me.
Mob season 3 is the biggest thing that will ever happen. Like, unironically.
Like,
this is it. there's this case with this like depressed man that comes into the office, and in the anime they kind of changed this into an actual spirit case, kind of, although it's sort of implied that it's not really a spirit, it's just like he's so depressed that it became a supernatural phenomenon or something.
Which I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like this idea that you put so much thought and energy into something like this, it creates exactly. It creates this huge issue.
Yeah, so I thought this change actually really like strengthened the themes of this episode.
And like you said earlier, I like that. Also really shows how important Reagan is.
Yeah, exactly. Because like Reagan is able to withstand the effect of the spirit.
Yeah,
he's on that grind set. The spirit is like, go to sleep, don't work, and Reagan's like, no, I'm
he on that grind.
Rise and grind, baby.
Rise and grind.
I was sitting on that joke for so long. Yeah, and then I love when he like runs up to Mob and Serizawa and he's like, hello, can you guys fucking do something? There's a spirit right there. Even I can see it.
Reagan immediately leaves and they're like, oh shit, maybe life is meaningless.
I know, it's really funny. He leaves them alone with the client for like 2 minutes and they all start spiraling into depression. Reagan is the backbone of spirits and such, and anyone who acts like he's not is lying.
Mom and Serizawa are me and Reagan's my Prozac when I forget to take it for a day.
Like, hey, get it together.
Get it together, you stupid bitch.
It's so funny. Like, Serizawa then obviously like relating to the guy and saying, oh, I've wasted so much of my life. And like, it makes sense why he's feeling that way. But yeah, like Reagan's able to kind of like talk him down. But what's really funny is then Mob being like, yeah, I too can relate.
He's also, that man. Also hit too close though, but he's like, you are 14.
Yeah, Reagan's like, I can't with you people. Oh my god.
He's like, oh my fucking god.
He's like, I hate depressed people so much. So then the last kind of thing for this episode is like one of my favorite adaptational changes, like not only of the episode, but I would say like just of all the things that they've added, I really love this one, which is that Mob asks Reagan why he wanted to open spirits and such. And at first Reagan like does his grandiose lie thing where he's like, oh, I had already accomplished everything in my previous job and I needed a new challenge. And he also tells Mob that Mob could work at spirits and such in the future. But that read like very obviously as a joke to me. Like I think Reagan was joking and he thought that Mob knew he was joking, I think, when he's like, oh, you can always work here, like it'll be fine. But Mob takes it really seriously.
Yeah, and it kind of read to me as like him being like, not only like you can, but you're going to be here. Like don't like this business will be a reputable business soon and kind of thing. But yeah, like he said, like it obviously reads as a joke, but Mob is like,
Mob is autistic.
I mean, that, and also he's like, I will be thinking about this for 50
Mom is
hours.
Like, oh my god, I'm gonna stress out about this
so much. And Reagan's like, oh shit.
Yeah, so then when Reagan realizes that Mob is like actually anxious about this and didn't realize that he was joking, then he kind of opens up at the end of the episode and tells Mob, okay, like the real story is that I started spirits and such on a whim. I just got bored at my old job. And, like, I did this, and now it's kind of what I want to do, but, you know, there wasn't a lot of rhyme or reason behind it. I love, like, the vulnerability here that Reagan, when he sees that Mob is actually anxious about something, he will take that step to, like, open up and be vulnerable.
Which is, like, not something he would originally do, especially, like, back in season 1 even, because there was such, like, there's such this delicate matter of, like, Reagan has to be the superior. He has to make sure Mob doesn't think of him as anything lower than the greatest psychic, or else this facade will break. And he's kind of growing into being like, well, I can be vulnerable. And kind of, I think going back to the separation arc, he knows that, like, he can be vulnerable and Mob will still think he's a good person at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Which kind of goes back to, like, him at least believing that he has powers, which is something Reagan's not necessarily super concerned about, but...
Right, and I think it's not the having powers as much as, like, why he lied too. Because if you're Mob, you're like, okay, he's lying to me about having powers, but why is he doing that? Well, it's so that he can use me for my powers. Which is like, that true. Hurts. And then Reagan giving him all these spiels about how he's just like anyone else, but as he's exploiting him for his powers. Like then everything Reagan says sounds so insincere when you're Mob, so it's like, he doesn't want to dig too deep into like,
right.
why are you lying to me though? Like,
Right.
that's the painful part.
There's a lot here in this scene I really, really like. Like, specifically, I noticed right away, like, when Mob admits and he's like, I don't know if I'll want to work here the entire time. And Reagan, like, literally, it's the same exact way he fucking looks at him during the goddamn press conference. When he tells him he grew up. I literally, like, tore my hair out. I was like, ah!
Yeah, it's a very, like, affectionate look.
It's a very, yeah.
Like, you can see, like, in his mind, he's like, I thought he knew I was just joking about that.
But
like,
it's
obviously,
also, like,
I wouldn't expect that of him.
Yeah.
And also, I'm proud of him for telling me that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's proud that, like, Mom not only can, like, tell him that straight up and, like, you know, tell him that, but also knows that about himself.
Yeah, this whole scene is, like, a good sort of mini version of what happens at the end when he comes clean.
Yeah.
For real. So, yeah, I liked seeing that here. And there's still, like, the little bit of repression that makes it a little more emotionally complicated. Because Reagan gets close to telling Mob that Mob is the reason why he stayed. Because he says, like, oh, but even this, like, I was growing bored of it, but that's when, and then he kind of stops himself, but we see this little flashback, that's when Mob came by.
Bones loves to fucking show that flashback.
Yeah, they're like, we are getting our money out of that flashback. So, yeah, that was a really sweet thing, but I like that there was still that touch of repression, because not everything is resolved between them yet. Like, Reagan hasn't really told Mob how much Mob, like, means to him.
In all honesty, I feel like sometimes it comes off as, like, Reagan is, like, in the sense of, like, well, obviously he knows how much he means to me, but Mob is so...
Mob doesn't, though.
He's like, I need it, like... And I think it really comes across as, like, you know, some people just need things told to them. Like, but you expect, like, you're like, oh, obviously I care for you as a person. You know this. And it's like, I don't. Can you tell it to me?
I don't. Yeah, if you've never told me that.
Yeah, exactly. If you've never said this to me.
And you've also been lying to me for a few years.
Right.
And you never apologized for that. Like, it's all kind of a weird situation.
Like, it's hard to be like, I can't just read your actions and assume
Exactly, yeah.
Mob Psycho 100 is just about Reagan learning how to talk to a neurodivergent.
Literally. He's, like, learning how to be a good... ally. I don't know. No, he has Serizawa too, and he's like, God damn it.
He's like, I thought this was just because Mom's a kid.
He's like, oh, there's more of you.
There's more of you. Oh my god.
No, I'm kidding. I should cut that. Wrapping up episode 1. All right, let's go into episode 2. Yokai Hunter.
Let's hunt some yokais.
So this episode has sort of a meta joke opening where it's the same as like the psychic opening that they've used for every single season premiere, but this one ends with they're called yokai hunters, and there's a few things about the visuals that are different. It's cute, but it's kind of like the fact that we've seen it 3 times.
Yeah,
it's like, all right.
And I think just like in the previous episode, it was already used, so like it's like I didn't catch immediately that it was even a joke, and I feel like maybe I don't know if they had like a little bit more difference in the visuals like at the very beginning.
Yeah, or if they just hadn't used it for each of the season openers. Premieres,
yeah,
I mean maybe they don't trust people to catch the reference, but come on.
Yeah. I'm wondering now that I'm thinking about it. I'm wondering if they were going to start with the yokai hunters like immediately for the premiere. And instead of using the original psychic, they're called psychics thing, they were going to go into that. And I could see that kind of working more, honestly.
Yeah, that could work, because then it's like we haven't just seen it, and you're like, wait, am I playing the right episode?
Yeah, exactly. So, but, yeah, I don't know. It kind of fell flat for me.
Yeah.
Sashay away, yokai.
Sashay away.
Sorry.
And then, yeah, not to like hit all of our critiques right at the beginning, but yeah, there's always been something about the way that the yokai hunter talks both in the manga and here that feels like it's just not quite hitting in the translation.
It's definitely something that definitely misses in the translation, I think.
Right. And it's like the way that Reagan reacts to it doesn't quite make sense. Like he says, like, stop using these buzzwords. And I'm like, he's not using buzzwords. He's just being very vague.
So yeah, I looked this up a little bit. I did a little research on this. At first I thought there was, I can't remember what precinct it is or anything, but I know there's like that trope of like a lot of times in like anime and stuff when like a character is like more from the countryside, they talk with like a different dialect.
Okay.
And like that kind of comes across very easily to other people who speak Japanese, and it's kind of seen as like, the best equivalent you can make is like a redneck version.
Oh, okay.
So initially that's what I thought, but then I was kind of looking on the TV tropes page for Mob, and they said he's using references to MMORPGs and stuff, and that he's referencing like actual like fantasy media and stuff.
Oh, that's interesting because that is brought up in the manga.
Is it? Okay.
Where Serizawa's like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
You're saying things that are from this game. And he knows because Serizawa's a gamer.
Because Seri was a gamer and stuck in his room for hours.
Put that in the anime.
Right, so when I was like, and I haven't read the manga in so long, I forgot about that, so it doesn't really come across as much in the anime itself.
Right, it's a little confusing with the sub. I'm sure it makes perfect sense in Japanese, but I'm just like, something's not clicking here
That's
for me.
something I'm kind of interested to like go see how they do it in the dub, like either
sure,
if they either like give him like some sort of different kind of accent, or if they actually make him say other references. Yeah, that's what TV Trope said, at least, was that he was referencing
that helps games. A little bit, because that does sound a little more like the way that Reagan reacts makes more sense.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and
it's just funny how much Reagan hates this guy.
I think it's great.
Reagan's the most insane person in the world, but he's also just a normie. He's like, can everyone just stop being a fucking weirdo for like 5 seconds?
It's just really funny when Reagan comes face to face with people who like don't act like they should in public. Like the yokai hunter or like Claw. He's
like, you're an adult. Like, I put up with Mob.
He's like, what the fuck is going on? He's like, you pay taxes, or
and
you
even
should
like Mob
be.
With his weird shirt later on. He's like, don't wear that. Like, he's just like.
Reagan's just hyper aware of like how he comes off as in public, and he's like, please just stop.
Please just be normal.
But that's honestly one of my favorite moments in this show, is when he comes face to face with that and he fucking loses it. And he's angry.
He's like, I can't handle this. You're being cringe, honestly.
Whoa, cringe plus L plus ratio.
Plus L plus ratio.
Plus get out of my office.
Plus your sword just broke. Your sword just snapped in half.
Plus the police are questioning you.
Another change from the manga is that the anime adds that Reagan ends up taking the case because of all the money that he's offered here, which is not in the manga. He just takes it for free, basically, in the manga. And I guess I like this change because, like, it does add more to why he's doing it, and then we kind of get that joke later where he talks himself out of the payday by being an idiot.
Here's me grabbing my soapbox.
Your soapbox? Okay, go for it.
Ugh, that was me putting the soapbox on the ground.
Good.
And I'm climbing on top of it. I fucking hate Bones' goddamn, like, they're fucking always making Reagan very money hungry. I feel like they add a lot of it.
Yeah, they do.
A lot of times, like, these jokes aren't seen in the manga that much, and Reagan just comes off as very, very greedy with money, which is, like, fine, but then it becomes like almost this main character attribute, and then I see, I think a lot of it is just what angers me is like, this is something people bring up in like the fandom all the fucking time, and they're like, haha, Reagan commits tax fraud and stuff, and it's like, this is shit Bones made up. These are Bones.
Not my Reagan.
This is not my Reagan. And it's just like I agree, I think it works here.
Yeah.
But they do a lot for the Reagan is motivated by money agenda, and it makes me mad.
And then it also kind of cheapens his relationship with Mob, too. Because then it's like, oh, he's just financially exploiting Mob.
Which, again, really makes me upset, because there's so many instances where Reagan takes cases without the thought of money in his head first. Like, there's a lot of instances where he's like, the person's like, I don't have money to pay you. That's fine, just give me seeds. I think it really cheapens the fact that Reagan might come off as sleazy, but he genuinely does help people.
Yeah.
And he likes helping people. And everyone's like, oh, he likes scamming people. I'm like, he's not scamming people, though, because...
Yeah, he's actually helping them, just not in the way that they expect.
Exactly. Yeah. When you say scam, I think he's overpricing them and making them pay more than they should. And it's like, honestly, when you compare to stuff like, we've seen other corrupt psychics in this series that are like, do make people pay far more than they should, just for them to be told that, like, you're not actually cursed or something, but Reagan doesn't do that. He lets them believe that they're cursed because that helps them, but he still helps them. He's like...
Right, like he solves their problems.
Exactly.
For a modest fee.
Exactly, and it's like, it's a lot cheaper than, like, say, these people continuously going to other psychics who will just make them give them their money, but not actually get anything. Yep. I'm pretty sure the manga deliberately points this out.
Yeah.
That Reagan does this, and that, like, he knows other people are... I'm pretty sure there's cases where he's like, well, if they go somewhere else, they're just gonna get robbed with their money.
Yeah,
and it's like,
gonna get scammed.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I really hate it when people boil Reagan down to just like, he's motivated by money, he's a scammer, when it's like, he's not.
Yeah. Yes, I love your soapbox.
Thank you.
I totally agree.
I think the worst this comes off as is in the first OVA with Reagan's autobiography.
Yeah, which is like 100% Bones original.
That's just content. All Bones original. Like, this is how they...
Yep.
And it's like...
One was not involved in that.
Yeah, that's like the worst flanderization of Reagan that Bones has ever done.
Yeah.
And I've never watched that
I don't think I'd watch it again, yeah.
Just because I'm like, that's not my Reagan.
Nope. I don't know him.
Right. Like, I don't know. It's like, you can make Reagan a very funny, overconfident character without making him this sleazy.
Yeah, and I think like Separation Arc makes it really clear what his actual motives are, which is that he wants to be someone.
He just wants to be someone.
He doesn't want to be rich. He wants to make a difference for people.
Yes.
And he's found a way that he can do that.
Exactly.
And he gets a little carried away sometimes, but, you know, don't we all, as we see later in the next episode, we all get carried away sometimes.
So we get carried away just because we want to feel like we have a place in this world.
Yeah, exactly.
And Reagan's, like you said, isn't to become rich or isn't even to become like... I mean, he makes jokes about being the greatest psychic of the 21st century and all this shit, but he's like, that's not even really his main goal. He just helps people.
Right. Yeah, he just wants to have a purpose, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that stuff, I hate that shit, but I think it works here.
In this instance, I don't mind it because it makes sense, like, why he chooses to take this case.
Yeah.
And they still, like, do the job. And then he doesn't even get paid for it.
Right.
So
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
okay.
I think jokes like that, like, it works here because of that reason, and I think also, like, I mean, the manga will make some jokes about Reagan not having enough money, and it's usually in the sense of, like, when he brings the boys out to, like, dinner.
Yeah.
And they all get, like...
and they all get, like, steak.
Yeah!
That poor... Imagine taking, like, 3 14-year-olds who have no concept of money out to dinner.
Yeah.
And they just keep ordering stuff. Oh my god, he's a saint. Reagan is a saint.
Literally. And, like, I could even see them if they kind of spun it as, like, oh, I have, like, another employee I have to pay now.
Yeah.
I could go on a whole nother tangent as far as, like, the payment with Mob goes, but I'm gonna stop there.
Oh, yeah. Mob was fine.
He was fine. Reagan honestly didn't even have to pay him. He's a
pay
child. Yeah. I don't know what the...
It was nice to pay him.
Yeah. I don't know what the laws are on child labor in Japan are, but, like, he obviously didn't even have to pay Mob.
Yeah.
You could just say this is a fucking
volunteer
internship.
opportunity.
Yeah, it's a volunteer opportunity.
Put it on your college application, Mob. That's what he should have done. Like, this is great experience for you for your college application.
That's what people think Reagan's like. But he's like, here's some fucking money because he's nice.
And I'm gonna buy you ramen every single day.
Right. He tells him not to get that many toppings sometimes, but that's because he's got to keep the electricity on.
Man.
Yeah.
He's paying rent in 2 places.
Who gave him Mom the money in the next episode for the shirt? Mind you.
Exactly.
Was it his parents?
No, his absent parents. No, Reagan ripped out 5,000 yen to give
he
to
said,
Mom.
Mom, go.
Out of the kindness of his heart.
Out of the kindness of his heart, Jenny.
We'll get to that in the next episode.
Anyway,
we'll touch on
Reagan's not a cheapskate. Let's
Reagan's
continue.
Not a cheapskate. And Mob values him so much, like, he comes to his office when he's not even working solely to get Reagan's advice on the cultural fair.
Oh, I know.
Which is so cute.
Yeah.
I want an alternate version of this episode where Reagan tells the yokai hunter to fuck off and just helps Mob make, like, a paper mache monster head.
Oh, honestly, I thought Mob was coming in to work, and he's like, also, I have this issue.
No, he said, when he walked in, Reagan said, oh, you're not supposed to be here
shit,
yet.
I didn't catch that line.
He came, like, just to get advice, and then Mob just got roped along into this.
Aw, that's sweet.
So, this episode has some pretty kick-ass Serizawa animation.
Oh, it's really good. Yeah.
The yokai. He uses his business cards as sort of a sword and a shield, which is similar to how he used the umbrella.
Yeah.
And a follow-up on the OVA where Reagan gave him the business cards. So now I want to talk about the implications of that because, Toichiro was the one that gave him the umbrella.
Yeah.
And now Reagan gave him the business cards. Let's dish.
Well, I think, first off, I think that's great. And I think you can say a lot as far as, like, the mechanisms of an umbrella and hiding behind it.
Yeah.
The main agenda of the umbrella was to be a shield. So he could shield Toichiro, which is what he usually did.
Yep.
But the business card, not only is it more open, but it's also like his business card.
Yeah.
It's his information.
Yeah.
It's his individuality that Reagan gave to him and told him, you are a good, important piece of this business, and I value you as an individual.
Yep. That's a really good take, that the umbrella is more about, like, shelter and, like, hiding yourself, whereas, like, the business card is, exactly.
Like, here's my info,
and
like,
it wasn't
contact
even for
me.
That purpose. He just kind of uses it in that way.
I think that's also
cool.
just really cool of, like, Serizawa himself to be able to just use that. I don't know, I just really love when, like when they use supernatural elements like this in the sense of, like, I'm gonna grab something just, like, mundane and use it for this. I think that's fun. I think that's great. Cool.
The anime cut out one of Serizawa's lines in the manga. So when the Yokai King approaches, in the manga, Serizawa says, "It's my job to beat the crap out of someone if I sense hostility. I want to try it." Which is a total badass line.
Yeah.
And it's a callback to the joke that Reagan made when he first hired him, when he said that the job description here isn't that different than at Claw, where he was just beating the crap out of people. So that line, I guess, was at the end of season 2 now, so it was a little bit too distant to have that callback now, but I just want to bring that up because I like that line.
Honestly, I feel like they could have brought the line back in. I feel like even if it's, like, too distant of a callback, like, I feel like
trust your audience.
Yeah, exactly. I think it still makes sense.
Right, because it's the first kind of, like, action we've seen Serizawa.
That's true.
Get.
Well, oh, bow, 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 bow. Ow.
I was like dug in too deep on that sentence.
And you just like, you didn't even try to like exit out. You were like, knew I was gonna do something with it. You're like, I guess I'll just let this be.
Yep. Very cute how Mob is so preoccupied during this whole case and like muttering stuff to himself. Yeah. And how like even when he's not focused at all on what he's doing like psychically, he's still like super powerful.
I think
it's so cute.
That's such a fun like aspect of Mob and like of this series that like I haven't seen for a little bit. They do it a lot in the very first season whenever they like have like this huge threat, and I think like the main yokai guy is like, you cannot defeat me, and then he's
just dead.
He's dead like 2 seconds later, and I just think
cute.
That's always fun for me, and I agree. Like just Mob like so preoccupied with like something else going on in his life where this isn't even like a bother to him. He doesn't have to think about it all, and I think I just love shit like that.
Another little detail in the anime here is that Reagan tries to take a picture of the Yokai King's head, but it doesn't show up in his phone, and then later at the culture fair he's impressed by Mob's costume. He's like, wow, that's so freaky. And then like later you see like a picture of like the costume head on his website. So I just love that follow through that he was able to get a picture of
I didn't even notice him take a picture of
well, they don't
costume.
show him actually take a picture of it. They just show
but it shows
later
it on the
website. So I'm just
assuming.
that's
even better. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, because he had to. Yeah, it didn't show up on his phone.
He took a picture of it. Yeah,
that's cute. I like that a lot. I like that connection. Does Reagan go to the culture fair in the manga?
Yes, he does.
He does?
They don't show him actually in it. They just show him like when he first walks in. I love the fact that he did like the salt splash thing and that he must have realized Mob was inspired by him for that element.
Oh, cute!
It's so funny.
Yeah.
He's like,
so
oh,
cute.
wow, this is familiar.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I wonder what this is. That's cute.
Adorable. Mob's so cute, and he inspired his group members.
Yeah.
Even though they were frustrated with him at first.
I love earlier in the episode when they're like, okay, Mob, well, what's your idea?
It's like, Mob.
I love Mob, and I think that I love when Mob is able to speak out for himself.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes he like crushes into a wall and he doesn't know how to continue, but at least he like puts his foot forward sometimes, and he usually follows through. Which
this
I
was
really
a huge win for him.
Yeah.
Like, they all admitted that they were glad that they did this, and that even though he had to like call Inakawa in the middle of the night and be like, "You want to come to school early tomorrow to work on our project?" And Inakawa was like, "No,
you fucking weirdo."
Last kind of note for this episode is,
should we even touch on this?
We were gonna touch on it. Ritsu's maid costume, which Bones was very restrained in how they animated this, but I like that they added Sho complimenting Ritsu.
I liked Sho being there, yeah.
And Sho said, "Oh, it looks good on you, though." And then I think it was Ritsu who laughed. I can't quite tell the voices, but I'm pretty sure it was Ritsu who laughed. So yeah, that could mean nothing.
That was sweet. I mean, that was sweet.
Sweet moment for Sho and Ritsu.
Big win for the Ritsu and Sho fans.
That's it for episode 2.
Woo!
All right, episode 3.
Woo!
Getting carried away.
Woo!
This episode starts with a very humanizing moment for Tsubomi.
Woo!
Which is good. You're gonna cheer at everything I say. Which is good to see because like she's such a key part of the end of the series. So it's good to see a little more of who she is.
I was really excited for this because I think I've mentioned this in our other podcast, but I was really hoping that they would kind of like take Tsubomi and like get her out of this like idealized like shoujo anime appearance and make her kind of more closer to her manga appearance.
Yeah.
And they kind of actually started doing that. Like even when they put out like the key character art for the season, you can kind of see that she's a lot closer to like her manga iteration. And I think there's a quote from one of the staff members saying something like, "Oh, anime Tsubomi would never have like snot coming out of her nose, so like what are we gonna do?" And that's when they started kind of transitioning and morphing her into like manga Tsubomi. And I really like that because I think it really helps with Mob's like idealized version of her kind of breaking down and seeing her as another person, as a human.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if it wasn't planned like from the beginning, it works really well.
I agree. I think so too.
Yeah, to show her sort of becoming a more real person.
Yeah, I agree.
Like both for Mob and for the audience as well.
Yeah, just like her own character kind of thing. And I agree. I think I really like that. And I think it works a lot because she obviously is one of those characters who puts out a front and her appearances are very important to her. Yeah. Because of that. So I can...
And she can't, like, trust her friends at all, which
is so sad. Which is shitty,
girl.
I know. But it's, like, I really like that. So, like you said, like, even though it wasn't planned from the beginning, I really like how they're morphing it and using it into their benefit.
Mob is such a popular boy. There's all these girls talking to him. Which is so funny. I just love the way that Tomei walks up to him, too, because she's so weird. And she's like, ooh, him. She, like, comes up. She's like, who? She's such a freak. I love her.
I love her. She's so weird. I'm
excited to see more Tomei soon.
Oh my god, yeah. I love the scene where he's walking with Ritsu and the girls are like, "Oh my god, Kageyama-kun," and Ritsu like doesn't even notice it's him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Wow, good job, brother."
Yeah, Mob is so, centered on himself at the moment that he doesn't consider they could be talking about his brother who has the same name. Yeah. And then Ritsu also...
That he is currently walking with.
Just wants Mob to, like he wants his brother to have everything he wants, so he also doesn't consider that they're talking about him. He's just like, wow, you're right. You're so popular. I'm so proud.
Which brings into the idea, does Ritsu ever acknowledge that he's popular with girls? Does he even notice that he's popular with girls?
I feel like he doesn't.
I feel like he doesn't either.
I feel like the only thing that happens, but I don't think he's trying to, is there's a few times with the one girl from the, like, Awakening Lab.
Oh, yeah.
That he kind of,
he's so cool.
Yeah, he kind of, like, unintentionally flirts with her a couple times, but I feel like it is unintentional.
I agree. I think it's completely unintentional.
Yeah, he ends up kind of like getting something out of it where she's like, yeah, we'll do your plan or whatever. Yeah. But I don't think he's trying to like use that.
I agree.
He just has no idea how he's perceived.
I think so too.
Compared
to later. Yeah, who like fully knows when girls like him because that was like his original shtick. So he's like either fully thinking, oh, of course everyone's looking at Mob. He's fantastic.
Mob is so amazing.
Yeah, like of course. choice. Who else would they be looking at? And he's humbled that much. Or he's fully ignoring that he knows it's for them.
Or
and he's like, well, you should look at Mob.
Yeah, he just wants to amp his friend up.
Yeah. Teru's a good friend.
Absolutely. Teru is a great friend.
Teru's a great friend.
Yeah, so Mob's carried away design here, where he's on a high horse and he looks crazy.
Terrible. I hate it. That's not my boy. He's a nightmare.
He's a Chad. Chad Mob.
The voice change specifically really hit me.
The voice change got me.
The voice would change.
I should have been expecting it, but I wasn't.
So
that knocked me out.
It really... the other thing, and it's like, I can't remember if any of the other characters acknowledge he actually changed.
It's kind of funny because Dimple's like, what's with your face and voice? So it's like, wait, is this
canon?
Is this diegetic or non-diegetic?
Ooh, that's a good word.
Theater word.
Yeah. That's a good.
Can the other characters
Wow.
see it?
Which one of us was in theater again?
You. Can Dimple see it because he's a spirit? Maybe Dimple's the only one who can see it.
I think that we're looking a little too deeply into it. But also,
anyway,
can you imagine walking with like your brother and then all of a sudden
you turn around and
you're like, whoa, you hit the T.
Brother.
When the testosterone
when the T hits.
Well, brother, your transition's going great.
Oh my god, your voice drops in like 5 seconds.
How did your top surgery go, brother?
Oh my god. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. This is the future liberals want.
This is the future liberals want.
This is how Republicans think tea on children works.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I don't like him. He's scary.
He's scary. He's not my boy.
That's not my
good boy.
That's not my boy.
Yeah. So the conversation between Dimple and Mob struck me as being sort of similar to the scene in Separation arc where like Reagan says a lot of mean things to Mob. Like the things he says are sort of similar, but I think like the place it's coming from is very different.
Yeah, I agree.
So Dimple says like, you're probably like imagining that you're popular and like no one actually notices you.
Yeah.
To be fair, Dimple's right.
Yeah.
Mob is in this case like imagining it.
Yeah.
But it's not as cruel as when Reagan was like, your friends are just using you.
Yeah.
Because Reagan was like very
deliberately trying to put him down.
Yeah. Whereas like Dimple, it is kind of like he is kind of like he wants Mob to do this cult thing with him, so he's still kind of trying like to come at it from that angle.
Yeah.
Whereas like you could be popular if you did this.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't strike me as cruel as or even like cruel at all. He's just kind of saying like, no, you're probably imagining it.
Well, and I'm trying to think if this had happened earlier when Dimple first like came out of the cult area and stuff, and when he was originally like really obviously trying to manipulate Mob, if he would go along with it almost and be like, oh yeah, you're obviously so popular, why don't we go do this thing?
Yeah.
So it's kind of so it's like I think you can read it as both of like him actually trying to benefit Mob and still trying to push the cult stuff onto him, or I don't know. It's like it's definitely not as manipulative as Reagan's during
definitely. And like we see in a few more episodes. Arc. Well, actually, you haven't watched that episode as of this moment.
As of this second, but I've read the manga, so
you've read the
manga.
Yeah. But like we see like later on that Mob really values that kind of honesty and like tough love from Dimple, because no one else in his life really gives it to him.
That's
like everyone
true.
else is either kind of like walking around it and trying to hype him up, or so like caught up in their like worship of Mob, which is, you know, Teru, that they don't really see through it. So like Dimple's the only one he can kind of count on to be like honest in a kind of tough way like that.
And I think a lot of people usually treat Mob delicately.
Yeah, especially Reagan and Ritsu.
Yeah, either because of fear, like Ritsu, or because they need to use him, like Reagan. And it's like sometimes it comes out of love, sometimes it doesn't.
When Mob says to Dimple, "Give your schemes a rest," there's this shot of like a book falling over on the bookshelf, and this is just an interesting like adaptational change to me to give the moment a little more weight, because in the manga it's just like a large panel of like Dimple's face, and you can kind of convey that weight and importance from the size of the panel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the book. The book is called You and Me, by the way, so it's like you and me are falling over. No more. No more you and me. That's my artistic interpretation.
Hey, Jenny, were you in AP English?
Yeah, I was.
Here's my thing with it. I think it works in the sense that, like, that's a common... I've seen that in other media where it's, like, to verify that weight of that silence is just, like, something falling over in the background or paying... Yeah, or, like, paying attention to something in the background. And I think it works, but I think it's one of those things where it's, like, nothing can compete with just, like, the silence in the panel and just Dimple having no response.
Yep.
And I feel like even then, if they just wanted to show Dimple, I feel like that would have been enough.
Yeah, just for a second longer or something. Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like also, I don't know, this might be a weird interpretation, but I feel like Bones is sometimes scared to linger on a frame for too long with no animation going on because this show has been hyped up so much for its animation.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm thinking?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like obviously like using a still frame. But even Dimple, I mean, they could have. He always has an animation around him when he's floating.
Yeah, exactly.
So even that, it wouldn't look like a completely still frame because it's not.
And then also, isn't he like when he's like kind of getting bigger like this? Isn't he also kind of flickering like a flame?
Like
almost?
This is a cool like Dimple look where he's like gaining all this power, so he has little bits flying off of him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I don't know. So even then, it's like, it wouldn't be a still frame, but I feel like they're still hesitant to almost do stuff like that because of the hype behind the show. But I could be wrong in that. And also, I think this is one of those things, just like in like season 2, when Mob is like, if I do something bad, will people get mad at me or whatever he says about using his psychic powers. And like the scanlation is like different. Where it's like, I prefer how they translated it in the manga more so. And same here where he...
Yeah, where he says, like, why don't you stop doing bad things?
Yeah, which hits...
Is the manga translation.
Yeah, which hits harder for me.
It's a lot harsher.
It's harsher.
Because it's like a judgment call.
Yeah, because it's like...
what you're doing is bad, not just like it's a little scheme.
Yeah. And it's like, I can see the scheme line as being like, almost like you're being childish.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, this is ridiculous. Like, when are you going to give this up? But I also think just like the idea of morality being brought into it is way harsher.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
And Dimple's just like red.
Yeah. Red at. No reply.
No.
Leaves.
No notes. Leaves.
Doesn't acknowledge Ritsu on the way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to belabor it, but those little differences between the manga, I'm always like, It always like jumps out when you've read it.
But it's always fun too, because it's fun to like, you know, obviously recognizing like when you transfer a form of media into something else, you're going to have to make changes like that. And it's always really fun to see how they do it and cool. how they excel at it or how maybe they don't.
And it was fun to read the other book titles on Mob's shelf. He had a book called Working Out, The Ultimate Solution to Everything. And then he had a book about how to read novels and another one about how to read The Room. It's very cute. So Mob tells Reagan about the call, and Reagan Googles it and is immediately judging their website design, which is like glass houses, Reagan. It looks better than your website.
What are you talking about? Reagan's website is great.
So Reagan gives Mob 5,000 yen. I love how the anime treated it. They clearly thought this was a great moment, and it was.
It was. They were right to do so.
They just gave it a lot of attention. Reagan looked hot. We haven't been directly thirsty for Reagan yet.
Yeah, so we have to
start
like
bringing that back
bring
in.
it back up. Get rid of the normies.
Yeah.
They've been okay for too long.
Reagan wanted Mob to become the cult leader because he thought it would be a good business opportunity. Yeah. But I choose to interpret this as being fully out of the good of his heart. He just wants that kid to have some nice clothes.
I agree, honestly. Yeah. Also, just the idea of Reagan looking at this sketchy-ass website and being like, actually, Mom, I think it'd be a great idea if you were their leader.
Yeah.
Go get a nice shirt.
What's wrong with you, Reagan?
Yeah, like, that's... Like, out of anything you have done, this is the most sus.
Honestly, yeah, it is.
Honestly.
It is. To be like, actually, you should pursue this.
Yeah, honestly.
That is the most sus thing Reagan has done.
Like, and it's like, I guess you can definitely interpret it as, like, him trying to just, like, hype up stuff for the business, because he has been talking in the past couple episodes, like, oh, we gotta get, like, you know,
just, like, more
business.
Free advertising.
Yeah, because I have to pay my employees.
Is a cult leader.
Yeah, my apprentice is a cult leader.
He's a prophet, basically. It's cool.
He's Jesus.
He's the next Jesus.
He's the next Jesus. They're gonna crucify him.
Oh no! Don't say that.
I'm sorry. I'm
He's
sorry.
the littlest boy.
So was Jesus?
No. Oh my god, we can't talk about that. Teru and Mob shopping montage. Let's talk about that.
Check yes.
So cute. So cute. I love how they hype each other up.
I know. I just love the shirt because
I love the shirt.
Like, because it's like, I feel like you could interpret it as like Teru being like trying to sabotage Mob, but he genuinely just thinks it's a great shirt. Yeah. He thinks it's great.
There's no ill intent in his
heart.
Yeah,
exactly. He's like, Mob looks great in it.
He's trying to work within his budget. Yeah. Which is funny that he initially showed him things that were more expensive than that. I mean, I guess it's, I did look up the conversion rate. It's like $35. So that's not an exorbitant amount to spend
Teru's
on a
like,
shirt.
I'll pay the rest.
Teru's a little rich boy, and he's like, why don't you get this? And Mom's like, I don't have enough money for that.
Teru's a little rich boy who's never worked a day in his life. He's also 14 and lives alone.
Yeah, it's weird.
Where the fuck are your parents again?
Teru's life makes no sense.
Which also honestly I think that fits. I think it's so funny because it's like Teru, obviously his lifestyle doesn't fit in this series, but it would fit in like a normal shonen
in another
series.
Anime. Yeah, it is really funny.
Which is so funny.
He's like the typical shonen protagonist.
Yeah, it's when he's in a series
I live alone.
He's not the protagonist.
I'm 14.
Yeah,
all the girls love me.
Yeah.
I just loved when Mob was like thinking to himself, wow, I have plans with 2 separate people today. I'm so busy. Because unironically, like, that is a busy schedule. If I have plans with 2 separate, if I have social plans with 2 different people in one day,
I'll die.
I'm never going to shut up about that.
Yeah.
Like, I will be tweeting about it. I will be like, wow, I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this.
And you have.
I do it all the time.
And you have done that.
I'm like, wow, amazing. Look at my life.
Look at my life. I'm so
just like
popular.
A constant jet setter, go-getter on my grind set.
What did you just say?
I blacked out. I don't know what I said.
I blacked out.
We're moving on.
No, for me, it's more like, I'm so exhausted. Do I have to see the other person?
I cancel. And then Mob ends up doing nothing. He just sits on a bench for like 6 hours.
Mob's disassociated on the bench, like, they'll come eventually. And he's staring at his phone, flipping it up and down, calling these people, and he's surprised when it dies.
He's so
because
funny.
it probably has the battery life of a fucking Game Gear.
It's like a razor. Does he have a razor?
No. You think Reagan can afford a razor?
Okay, true. I forgot Reagan bought his phone for him.
That's a fucking Nokia.
That's a Nokia.
That's a ladybug that has a home and police number. Yeah.
But also, and Reagan on speed dial.
And but also some reason has a fucking GPS tracker.
Yeah, for some reason it has a GPS tracker, but that's fine. Reagan paid extra for that. He was like, I need to know where he is.
Yeah, they're like, okay,
keep
weirdo.
Him safe. They're like, is this your son? No.
He's like,
brother? No. Nephew? No.
No. Reagan knew he had to lie and say it was his son, or else it would be really weird.
Yeah, I hope he lied to whoever he bought that phone from.
Oh, absolutely. He definitely did.
The anime added a scene of Reagan actually like watching the live stream at home.
I thought that was cute.
Which is super cute. Like they couldn't pass up another opportunity for us to see him in his pajamas.
So true.
Just sloppily eating some cup noodles. His reaction is so funny when he's like, huh? That's not Mob. Where's Mob? Immediately calls Mob. Same. Me when there's no Mob.
Where's the Mob? Reagan immediately was like, that's not Mob. I don't, who's that? That's not my son.
He's like, that has bad vibes. My son has good vibes.
My son has good vibes. I need to call him. But also, I need to tell him to bring his fucking charger with him, apparently.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. He's out of touch. He's out of time.
He's out of touch.
I'm out of time.
Okay, I guess this is going to be the end. This is going to be the end of one of these videos, so I guess we should do like a little, okay, we're done. We're going to keep recording tonight, but this is going to be one video that's ending. And the next video will be more episodes.
Wait, was this a practice run, or are we just going to use that? Because I think we should just use that.
We're going to use, I'm not redoing it. I already said the things I needed to say.
What were you saying again? I wasn't listening.
We're done for tonight.
No, we're not.
we're not done. We are recording on Friday, November 11th. We're gonna record the first 6 episodes.
Oh wow! Say the whole date.
Not like they could dox us from a date.
Why don't you say the time and the address?
It is exactly 6:00 p.m. actually right now.
We are in,
and we are in the Central Time Zone. That's fine. You can tell from our accents. Our middle America accents.
I'm pretty sure we've said where we're from before.
Yeah, we've definitely said we're from Minnesota. Yeah.
Which you can all obviously tell.
Anyway. We will keep recording, but I am going to edit into 3 and 3 episodes for release purposes. So that's why I'm doing a little conclusion, because even though we're going to dive right into episode 4, this video is ending for the people listening to it. So we have to give the people an ending. And this is that. I'll
give the people an ending.
That's it. I'm calling it.